Fix It Tony here. Thanks for clicking on the video. So we have a 2020 Dodge Durango with the 3.6 Pentastar in it. It had a coolant leak. They were worried it was the oil cooler, but if you take a look down here, it was pretty easy to identify. We do have an issue with the water pump. So when I got ourselves a water pump, so we're gonna get started, remove the cover. That was an 11 millimeter of all things. On top to remove the cover here. And then down here, we just apply it a 3/8. So I can reach down and grab it so you can see it. I already put it down there. So that 3/8 clear tubing, and then a flathead screwdriver. And you just want to have a good drop pan down there. Let her cool down, and then we'll go down here and we'll start to drain her. Get all the coolant out. You have the little red boss with a flathead screwdriver attachment on it. There it is. And just give her a twist until she loosens up. And we'll start draining the coolant. I like to use clear tubing because that way I can see when it's done. So now we're releasing. So we're dumping the coolant out. We're going to go ahead and pull the cap off so we don't have any issues draining it very quickly. It only lasts about a half gallon of coolant in a matter of a year, so it wasn't that big of a leak. It actually probably, you know, a lot of these types of coolants, you'll see it right in the cap. It's a OAT 01. You have POAT, which is POAT, and then you have OAT. So we're going to go and open that up, let that drain out. And again, you want to make sure you use the correct coolant when refilling this back up. Sorry, I know it's all blurry. So got that draining out. We'll give that a little bit. We'll come back here and we'll start breaking everything loose. So while that's draining out, we're going to go ahead and take the air tube off. Again, very easy, just a couple of screws. We can get this whole assembly out of the way so we can get down to our water pump. So pretty easy, you know, just this connector here, which you just pull back on. They've made these connectors way easier over the years. So nothing to do crazy there. We have our oil cooler down there. And we took a look down there and didn't see any leaks besides the normal residual of the oil people leave when they do the oil change. That cover, just the two flatheads here and here are 8 millimeter, and then there's a push-in rubber connector there, and there's one right here. You just kind of pull it and push it. Pull it up and pull it out. So anyway, so we're down in here. We can see our water pump is right down there. So we can start taking our bolts loose once we're done draining here, which we're getting pretty close. So the telltale sign is that we have a water pump problem. You know, usually it's the bearing, and you see it, it's down over there. But you'll see spray, and you can see that line of spray right there. And that's because as the pulley's spinning, it's spraying the coolant all the way around. So it's getting on the housing here, it's getting up the side here. So that's the dead giveaway, not just the fact that you have coolant looking down there, but you can see the spray, that's the giveaway. So we'll get everything out of the way here and we'll start getting this off. All right, so we'll take the belt loose and you just use regular 3/8 ratchet and just going to get it and then pull the belt loose like that. And do it off video because I can't do it with it. All right, so belt's off. We're going to remove the vacuum pump. This has start-stop technology. These pumps are designed to keep vacuum in the brake booster, so you have brakes when the engine shuts off. So just 2 bolts, probably 10 millimeter at the bottom here, it feels like. We'll get that off. All right, so further investigation showed that Chrysler kind of did us dirty on this one. So this crossover tube goes in front of the water pump. Why they couldn't just relocate it a little bit? They have all the room in the world, I don't know. So now we remove the vacuum pump, very easy. You're just going to pull the tab out. Sorry, you can see it here. We're going to pull these out right there. I like to use one of these, panel tools to come out really easy. Then disconnect that, and then you're going to squeeze the vacuum tube connectors here, and that removes it. So we're going to grab our pump. Be very careful; these aren't cheap, and we don't want it to break. So we're going to set it out of the way for right now, and we'll start taking the bracket off, which is this assembly here. Got 2 bolts here we're going to take off. All right, so we have the bracket. You have 2 16 millimeter oddball sizes. Again, you use your panel tool to take off these 2 little harnesses, and we'll grab this and put it off to the side. Okay, so we have a 13 millimeter holding this pulley on. That was actually kind of loose. Maybe this is a water pump bolt. We'll find out here in a second. If it is, that explains why it wasn't terribly tight. Let's take this off here. And it doesn't look like a water pump bolt, but it wasn't terribly tight. So we're going to grab this pulley, make sure it spins nicely, and it feels good actually, and we'll work on the rest here. Okay, so we pulled the tube off, went ahead and pulled the inner one off. It's easier to get because we have a remover tool. If you don't have this kit, I'll put it in the description. It has all the different type of removers for hoses that are stubborn. You can just get in there in the angle, pull it in, and clear the hose, and it'll pop right off instead of yanking on and breaking something. So we have this all the way, so we can start taking our bolts loose. Okay, we pulled all the bolts out. It's good to get your new water pump and put it next to it so you can insert the bolts, because it does have different length bolts, so you're not having an issue trying to figure out what bolt goes where. We're all loose here, so now we're going to give her a little tug and break her loose and let her spill out her guts. Alrighty, so we pulled the pump off, pulled the gasket off. Just remember the orientation. The little hub goes inward in through here, and we'll start reassembling.
Get in there real deep and nice like. A little deeper.
You should make YouTube videos like that. I bet people will watch them more and they'll understand.
All right, so the 10 millimeters are going to be 8 foot-pounds or 96 inch-pounds, and then the bigger bolts here, they're going to be 17 foot-pounds. You can do the math. All right, for those who don't like math, that's 202 foot-pounds, or inch-pounds, sorry, inch-pounds. So we're going to go ahead and put the pulley back on and our hoses and start reassembling exactly the way we took it apart. Okay, we reattached our hoses. Those go nice and easy, put them on the same way. So now we'll go ahead and put our belt on, and then we'll put our brackets on. Okay, so we're going to do, you can see our orientation, so you can see how this belt goes on in case you forgot. You're going to go ahead and take the tensioner loose and then have a second set of hands, slide it over the water pump is the easiest way to get this done. All right, you're going to put the crossover pipe, just put the pipe back on here, and then you're going to get ready to start putting the bracket on. Tighten up these two 16 millimeter bolts, and then you're going to put your harness, push it back into the bracket, and we can start working on our pump now. Okay, so we have the vacuum pump. Remember, it comes up through the bottom. Make your connector, push it in the harness here, and we can move on to the next step. Again, remember stuff like this, you see like this little clip needs to go on like that, just for vibration reasons. But we're almost done. And we have one more 10 millimeter that holds that bracket in place. Almost forgot about that. You can see we have a dirty throttle plate here, so we're going to wipe that down, wipe it apart before we go ahead and put the intake back on. All right, so we have it reassembled. It's supposed to start at an angle, push it like this so you can get this drop in, tab in, then drop it down, get that tab in, then tighten here, and then work your way this way and pump that one on. If you have to take the air box off, do that if it gives you more clearance. And then push this little tab back in and push the air intake temperature sensor back in. So now we can start filling the coolant. Okay, so you want to make sure that your drain plug is turned off, of course, with a lead screwdriver, and then you're just going to add coolant. I'm personally using this Prestone Max. It's good for all Jeep, Ram, and Dodge and Chrysler products. It's the purple, but it's mixable with any of them, and it's good for 350,000 miles when it's for 100% flush. So it's a far superior fluid. It's a POT instead of an OAT, but they're compatible with each other. So we went ahead and filled it to the max level here. We're going to start the engine, start the bleed process. We're going to run it through a heat cycle, and then after 24 hours, we'll double check and top it off. Okay, we're going to start the engine. One thing you want to do is turn the heater on high. What that's going to do is open the bypass. As you're doing that, make sure it's safe. You're not by the pulley. You're just going to squeeze the hoses. What you're doing is just kind of forcing that air through the system. Not going to get it all, but it'll definitely get some out of the system here. And you'll notice that we started at max. We're already coming down with fluid, so we'll add some more fluid to it. And once we feel hot air inside the cabin, we know that the heater core is full, and we got rid of most of the air in the system. Okay, so we have the heater going, and we're going to raise the RPM to about 2,000. We'll get this thing flowing a little bit. We're really trying to work those air bubbles out. A lot of people say to do this on a flat surface. I like doing it at an angle because, again, the highest point is where the air is going to go to. So we're going to go and rev this thing up, get it nice and warmed up. Get the water working through the system here. Double check it. We're not going to get it perfect. We'll have to top it off in the morning. It'll probably end up being about another half quart. Okay, we heat cycled it. We're still showing full, but again, most important thing, this thing will solve burp overnight, and they call it burping because there is still air in the system that there's just no way to get it out. Best way is to let it sit overnight. Once the engine cools down, it'll pull fluid from the reservoir, and it's very important before you start the car in the morning, top this thing off to the cold level, which is going to be really in these, I like to put them between the minimum and the maximum. Right in there is where you want to be on this. I usually, right now, I'll overfill it just a touch because I know it's going to suck some fluid out of it in the morning. We'll verify repair, spray down any excess down here, and we're done. Any questions, comments, or concerns, please reach out. But otherwise, we'll send the Durango on its way. Have a great day.